All right, welcome back to Really Quick Java. Let's talk about the method length or the string method length. Length is not designed to measure distances, how long or how short something is. Length returns an integer value of how many elements or how many characters are in a string. It's a common practice to determine or find out or compare how many elements are in a given string. For example, let's say you are doing something with passwords, and minimum password length is 8 characters. Well, first thing we can check is we can run a length of the password, which would be a string, and if it's less than 8, we reject it. Now, on my screen, I'm at the J shell, kind of what I refer to as my Java interpreter, and let's do some really quick Java here. If I say, start with the literal. Make sure I click on the screen, and I'm going to say Nick, and then I'm going to say find me the length of that literal Nick. It returns 4. If I do it with my last name, I'll even put a space in there. Spaces are characters. They're represented as characters in memory. And if I say length here, we return a value of 8. Now, let's do this with actually a variable. So I'm going to create 2 variables really quickly. I'm going to create 2 string variables. I know they're not really variables, but bear with me. The first one is going to be lname, and then the second one is going to be lname. I should have been first name, last name, sorry. Long day. And you can see that initially they have a value of null, meaning they don't even have spaces in them. To the computer world, they have nothing in them. If I do a length of fname, throws an exception. It has no length. There's nothing there, right? It's not blank. There's nothing there. But now let me put something in there. So I'm going to first clear the screen, and I'm going to say fname is going to be equal to Nick, and lname is going to be equal to Tiro, right? And I put that space in there, even though we don't, as a family, we never did it, but I'm going to put that space in there, and we can see that it's it. Now, if we say fname length, right? Oh, I mistyped it. Fname length, it returns 4. Lname length, it returns 8. Right? Think about that, the password analogy I use. Now, I'm going to introduce something very quickly in this video, and it has to deal with length versus indices. And I create a little Excel program an Excel spreadsheet for demonstration purposes. And I have 2 variables. I have the first name variable, I have the last name variable. And the length of the first name variable is 4. The length of the last name variable is 8. But we can reference the individual characters in those strings by giving it an index or an indices. And here's where people get really confused, right? It has to deal how computers count and stuff like that. Computers count by starting at 0. You can see that the first location of the string fname is referenced by 0. The second character by 1, third character by 2, etc., etc., etc. That will often drive people crazy. The analogy I often use to kind of get people over the hump is the day you're born. How many years old are you the day you're born? You're 0 days old. Doesn't mean you're nothing, or it just means you're 0 days old. So the first location or the first item or the first element in the string of first name has a 0 location or 0. So if I need to reference it, I would do it. In another really quick video, I will show you how we reference it. But that being said, we learned a lot in a couple minutes. Let's go learn something.